Hi, I'm Phil at Auto Essence, and we're doing a little review here on a Ford Fiesta for driving review. Getting the essence of this vehicle. So how does this thing drive? Well, I've had the car for about 10,000 kilometers now, and getting to know it, getting to kind of all the things that I don't like about the car. I'm finding I'm able to get over it. Drive around it. Engine in particular is a little. It pulls okay. It's it's not a fast car, but it's not struggling to try to keep up. It's a 1.6 liter. I think it's 125 horsepower. 1.6 liter engines. I like small 4-cylinder engines. This one, I think there's a big flywheel in here. I don't know what these engineers, American engineers, do with their 4-cylinder cars, but they seem to fuck them up by trying to make them smooth or something, and they put these big flywheels in them. I think that's why it causes it to. The engine, the revs tend to be so, if the revs fall really slowly, and almost maybe it's emissions related, that they're designed to keep burn off the excess gas, so it's not polluting the atmosphere. It's burn it off, I guess. So we've all read about the reviews on this car. The handling is and the steering. It's good. It could be better, but at this price range, it's a little hard to complain. It's a little heavy, the steering wheel, I feel. But I'm a bit of a wimp. I like lighter steering, and I like a thinner steering wheel. I don't know why they put this big, thick steering wheel in a economy car, thinking that it's a Corvette or something you gotta hold on with two hands and hold on tight when you drive the thing. I'm more of a fingertip type of driver. I don't mind a little bit of overboost in the steering. Everyone complains, all the reviewers complain that the steering is too light, blah blah blah, but and they gotta feel that. Steering feel to me is a little overrated. I mean, I remember my 1980, I think, Ford Fairmont. You can almost turn the wheel with your pinky, and I could always tell whether the wheels are slipping or not. I mean, to me that's it's pretty easy. You got to be quite daft to not be able to know whether your car is starting to slip or not. I mean, yeah, it's a level of confidence, and but you can more tell by what the car's doing by the seat of your pants, and so the steering feel to me is a little. I'd rather have a little bit more boost, less feel. But the feel's artificial anyways. It's electric steering, so there you go. That's a nice thing for the steering. Suspension-wise, it's surprisingly well for a little car. It's a small car. It's trunk small, back seat small, but it's got a decent sized trunk, and I put a roof rack on it and a roof basket on it. I did that for about under $250. So just shop around, go online, like Canadian Tire. Possibly I ordered the basket from Walmart. Yeah, surprisingly cheap. It's not as nice as a Thule or a Yakima, one of the big brand racks, but for a couple of bucks, it does the job. Rear suspension on this car is torsion beam, so it's not an independent suspension, but it's stiff enough to, and the geometry's right when you turn in and you're trying to tighten your line. It responds like it should. If you let off the gas a little bit, the nose dives down, the back end comes up, and it tightens the line. So that's kind of nice. Or if the road's bumpy, it doesn't go offline and having to put more steering in. So that makes it enjoyable to drive. You can drive this car quite precisely. So it's fun that way. It goes where you're pointed, basically. Some guys have, and there's aftermarket rear sway bars, but that would make the rear end stiffer, which would be good probably on flat surfaces. But I think in the bumpy, I'm not a big fan of torsion beam suspensions, because when you can feel it pulling at the steering wheel, and it changes the balance of the handling of the car. You're fighting the steering wheel when you're going around corners and when you're hitting bumps. So you have to make these little corrections. But on a small car, short wheelbase and a narrow track, it's less of a factor than in a bigger car having a torsion beam, a bigger, heavier car. It's like a brand new pickup truck. So this car is barely passes that, not annoying. It's just barely on the edge. So a rear sway bar, I think, would make it annoying. It might handle well. It might go around corners ultimately faster, but those where the bump is hitting one side of the wheel or a wheel at all, because the back end can't absorb the bumps properly on a torsion beam. Doesn't matter how good it is, it's still gonna be funny. Fuel economy is very decent. I learned to drive it too, so that I'm not lugging the motor, but also not revving it up hard. You do that in this car, and the fuel economy is really good. I don't know what it is, you can look it up, but it's as good as anything for 1.6 liter and the 125 horsepower. It's got more power than a Honda Fit, bigger engine, 1.6 versus 1.5. Doesn't have the practicality of the Honda Fit, but I think this car overall has when you drive, it has a more solid, more more crisper handling without being harsh in the bumps. So they've done a very good job at making this platform stiff. It's a Mazda 2 platform, and not too heavy. It's a fairly light car. Sound, noise insulation, road noise, and so forth. It's not bad for a small little car. It's hard to complain, that it should be quieter. It's quite good, It's not gonna be, wow, this car's quiet by any means, but because this is a base level car. But for that, it's acceptable for what it is. Manual transmission, I think I love dual clutch transmissions, and I drove one Ford Fiesta once, and I didn't know it was a dual clutch at the time, and I thought there was something wrong with the transmission. But now that I know that it's a dual clutch, I wish I was able to go back and try one again, because I've driven dual clutch transmission in the Alfa Romeo and the Fiat 500L, the original one. And I love the dual clutch transmission. Once you get used to driving it, and as long as it doesn't break, I've heard the Ford one is breaking all over the place. But I don't know. That sometimes could be misdiagnosed. The mechanic thinks it's broken because he doesn't know, so he starts replacing parts. They don't know that it's supposed to be that way. There's a lag in a dual clutch. So they think it's supposed to operate like a manual transmission. And I spoke to lots of mechanics, and they don't understand what it is, and they think there's something malfunctioning with the transmission as well. So there's a lot of confusion amongst the dual clutch transmission, not only how it works, but how it feels. So that is part of the whole debacle of dual clutch transmissions, especially around Ford, where their customers, especially a Ford Fiesta customer, is not, she is not looking for he or she is not looking for a track performance car where you're banging off shifts and shift times in milliseconds, and they're more thinking about reversing and backing up and parking and parallel parking. You go back and forth, and the transmission is delaying, and then so they get on the gas, and then it goes into gear, and it lurches, so they think that the transmission is slipping and then catching, and then ultimately a dangerous situation, which it could be if you don't get it, if you don't understand how it works. And why should those people get it? It's the manufacturer didn't explain to anybody, didn't explain to the mechanics, didn't explain to the salespeople. So it doesn't say anywhere in the literature that you have to drive this car differently before you buy it. So it's hard to blame the customer, even though they're ignorant of how it works and how to drive one properly. They get the most enjoyment out of it. Because that's not what they bought it for. They bought an automatic thinking that it was an old school automatic. And it should act like an automatic, which it should. So there you go. I could talk more, but I'm home, so that's it for this review.